Maria Tadeo joins us right now. Maria, you're a lucky thing. What are you doing in Berlin now?
Well, we're looking at the German election, and it really is a defining election. I mean, we all know that Angela Merkel is leaving, that this is 16 years of Angela Merkel coming to an end, and Germany really is in a defining moment. This is an election that was on automatic pilot for the Christian Democrats to win, and everything has changed. It is the Social Democrats. Everyone thought these guys were dead, and now you have Olaf Scholz, the finance minister, really leading in polls. And when you look at this, German politics are so complex that this could be a very difficult government. Many coalitions, 5 parties could have a say here, but it's also this huge change of going from a Christian Democrat chancellor to potentially a Social Democrat back in power.
Has the German reputation of being fiscally conservative come to an end?
Look, it could be, but, you know, we often hear this time and time and again. If you do get a Social Democrat government, that Germany is going to start spending and we're going to see a real shift in politics. But what you have to factor here is that the next government will be a 3-way coalition. That means that the next chancellor will have to make a lot of compromise in terms of the fiscal policy, but also the economic policy. And more so than fiscal, I would say the big question for Germany is what to do with China. Until now, it has been an economy that's very much export-driven, that this is a huge industrial power, and their policy towards China has always been about the trade. But that could change because there is pressure for the next government to become tougher on China, especially when you look at the human rights. That is very difficult to separate the politics and the trade the way that Angela Merkel has done.
How does the German population, based on the polls right now, based on the fact that, frankly, Angela Merkel's party is not gaining favor, how does that reflect on the ECB and the sort of involvement of Germany with the European continent as sort of the front leader economically?
Well, when you look at the CDU and Angela Merkel's party, this is a disaster campaign. The party is in complete disarray. They've lost more than 15 points in 2 months. But it does feed into a bigger debate that's happening not just at the ECB, but also in the European Commission, the fiscal rules. This is a debate that will get heated. Again, the idea is that if you do get the Social Democratic government, it will be perhaps more dovish on many things. But when you speak to the average German, you don't get that perception at all. The many Germans that I've spoken with, they continue to say that the economic policies that they've had until now work for Germany and want to continue. And there's also a lot of anxiety when you speak to Germans. They do feel like this is a big moment of change for the country.
I'm going to ask the most Tom Keene-esque question ever. Maria, for an American investor right now, why should they care what's going on?
Who are you?
TK this morning.
Well, they
TK.
should. Well, you know, they should, because we could see a big repricing in the Bund, and that could affect pretty much everything in the bond space, but also the fiscal debate. You know, we've talked about for years now, is Europe going to become much more of a fiscal kind of continent the way that the United States is? Are we going to see a kind of turn away from the traditional policies that have shaped the European Union? And that could happen in this election, but in particular is the Bund. Will it trade differently with a government that is clearly pro-green, that is clearly pro-spending, and wants to engage in that too?
Negative 34 basis points right now. Maria, thank you. Thank you very much.